Hello everybody, Flik here. It's time for yet another Let's Look At, and today we're taking a look at Wizard of Legend by Contingent 99. You'll already be a little bit familiar with it if you've been around my channel for a little while, because I started a series on it. It is a wizard spell-themed roguelike dungeon crawler that is a lot of fun. Been playing it for 12 hours so far. That's mostly kind of like episodes for YouTube, a couple of like sessions on stream. And I think it's really good. I do have some serious concerns, but it is well worth a look at. So we're going to jump into my file where I have finished the game. There is a beginning, middle, and end. So if you aren't playing a roguelike for the chance to like replay it, and you just want a story experience, there is a story to the game. It's very basic, but there is a story, and you will feel satisfied once you see the ending. Took me about 9 hours to get a winning run, which I think is fair if you are just going for that one win and then you're done. But anyway, you play as a person who's at a museum, and the subject of the museum is the Chaos Wizard Trials, I think they're called. Then something weird happens and you get sucked into the trials, and now you're trying to get out by winning them. And it's a roguelike in the sense that there's a bunch of spells and artifacts you can upgrade. You can customize your start, your run changes each time. You go on a run based on like what artifacts you buy, what random spells might drop, and the order in which you fight the bosses also changes within a certain degree. Speaking of, there's one of them there. So I will customize my run. This run I've got right now is one I've been using, well, with one exception, it's been the run I've been using for a long time. You can also change your armor set, and depending on the armor you're using, you get different attributes. So it's, think of it like starting as a different character in Isaac. But before we customize run, just a very quick rundown. HP's up there. The bar below it is my, let's like call it alt. If the bar fills, whatever you've got as your signature skill, which is the one with the gold border, if you use it when your bar is filled, you do a much more powerful version of the spell. In fact, I can show you real quick actually, just like the difference between the two versions. This is the Q press normally, and then this is the alt version with the blue bar filled. So it's just a much flashier, more damaging version of the same spell. But I'm going to customize myself a bit, pick some spells I've not tried before for the purposes of the run. You also get to start with one relic. I'll change from the one I'm using actually now that I think about it. Sorry to keep on going backwards and forwards, but I don't want to keep on using the same one. I forgot, buttons wise, I'm using mouse and keyboard obviously, so you can see which buttons I'm pressing down there. But you can use controller. I haven't, so I can't tell you whether it's better or worse, indifferent. It seems like a controller game to me. It was just kind of like for ease of use, I just tried mouse and keyboard and now I'm used to it. What will I wear as my starting relic? I've not unlocked anything close to the maximum amount. Let's maybe go for something defensive so we can have a tanky run. Sure, let's just have that for increased defense. The armor I'm wearing right now is increased armor and increased defense. I also have only recently learned that armor and defense are two separate stats. Did not know that. Oh right, yeah. I keep thinking I can change my spells out there because if you unlock a new artifact or a spell out in the town, the NPCs follow you out there so you can change on the fly. But if you haven't, you have to come in here and do it. So let's change my basic arcana, even though I'm using what is, in my opinion, the best one in the game. Ice Dagger. I don't think I've used Ice Dagger. Let's try that as our starting one. In our dash, let's try, what is this? Let's see, maybe like a fire-themed one. Flame Rush, rush forward and conjure a volley of accompanying flares. Let's try that. I don't think I've tried that one. And then a standard spell, I mean, this could be anything. I've got so many things unlocked, and I've not used half of them. Could we go for, we could maybe go for like a fire-type build and have a standard firewall. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Our basic attack is knife daggers. Got it. Kind of roots you to the spot a little bit, which is a bit of a negative. And our rush attack. Oh, that's neat. Bit hard to aim, I think, unless they lock on. Let me try, like if I dash up here. Alright, and then my right click. Alright, so it's just a wall of flame in front of you. Got it. Not an ideal build, I would say. You're kind of looking for either spells of the same type or spells that synergize well together, even if they're of different elements. Hang on a minute. They may have changed it now, so they do teleport here every time. The game has been patched twice since I started playing Wizard of Legend, and I started playing a couple of days after release. This is another quality of life change they've made, and good on them for doing that. Also, I was kind of, as much as I enjoy the game, I was preparing myself to be much more critical of it. Until I saw the end credits and saw that it's made by 2 people, and then I was too impressed to complain very much. 2 people made this game, with some contractors mostly brought on for sound and music. So anyway, this is the track we have to do to get a winning run. We get to the far end there. You don't always fight the fire lady first. Sometimes it's the earth guy, sometimes it's the ice lady. You can pay to try and influence who you fight first. But we are just going to start clearing rooms. Maps over here, percentage cleared is here. The skulls indicate how many rooms of combat are left, roughly speaking. Beyond that, we'll collect gold as we win, or as we kill things, you know, and win fights. Use that gold within a run to buy artifacts. And right now we only have the one. Well, I think they're called artifacts when you buy them, but here they're called relics, so no wonder I'm confusing myself if they're referred to as 2 different things in different places. Above that is our Chaos Gems. You get them for clearing certain rooms, for killing bosses, opening chests. Those unlock more artifacts / relics and spells between runs. That's just it. Let's show off the best part of the game now and do a little bit of combat. Ow. Try not to fall off though. Just put that there. Alright, so what I want to do with firewall is put it down and then kind of stand there, because then they'll try and get to me and just keep on walking into the firewall. Alright, I understand. I'm so used to the setup I've been using most of the time. So this is one of the special rooms you can find on the floor, and this one, I guess I should just make this my first complaint then. Very similarly to Darkest Dungeon, specifically the trinkets in Darkest Dungeon, these cursed items give you a benefit and also give you a negative. They are not balanced correctly, in my opinion. I'm going to stop saying my opinion. All this is in my opinion. Just, you know, take that as a given. With the exception of this, because I know what this does now. I looked up what every cursed item does just to make sure I wasn't wrong about this. There's 2 cursed items that are good in very specific circumstances. The rest are just bad, because the downside is way too out of proportion to the small positive you get from taking them. The Golden Armor of Envy and the Sword of Envy are the only good ones. And only if you get them in the final floor before the final fight. Because what they do is, they make you lose gold every time you're hit, but give you either defense up or attack up. And by that point in the game you don't need gold. I guess you could make a case for Tiny Crocodile Heart. I know what that does as well, obviously, but I won't say, just for discovery's sake if you're also planning on trying the game. But no, the cursed items, just ignore them if you want a good run. If you want a dumb run, then by all means take them and do some silly things. Now that I've finished the game, I'm kind of more laissez-faire about my play. You just kind of like... I've got to be careful with that stab, actually, because it propels me forwards, whether I like it or not. I'm starting to get the hang. I've taken way too much damage from that first room, but that's the other thing. Because you can start with a different setup any time you like, you might be so accustomed to one particular spell setup you forget that you're using a bunch of other stuff and get in trouble as a result. I found a very, very effective setup that is almost a guaranteed win. So I was thinking of my old setup when I pressed the firewall button there. If it isn't obvious. Alright, good. Making a little bit of progress. We're almost halfway done with the floor. Expecting that to reach you. That fire dash is actually pretty good to combine with, like, dashing towards an enemy and then attacking them from behind, and then they turn to face you and then get hit in the back by the flames that you've started with your dash. I'm sure there's like a billion synergies with spells that you wouldn't think of until you try them. I like this ice stab. The only thing is it keeps on putting me in the way of enemy attacks because it propels me forwards. Ah, we found the shop. Okay. Of the items here, none particularly appeal, so I'm just going to buy the heal, then move on. Oh, a fire-themed enemy. That's no good. Luckily, I have ice. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. It might not make sense to you, like, why is ice strong against fire? It should be the other way around. It's a little bit eccentric, but when you have an ice element spell, what you actually have is a water element spell. Ice and water are the same element, and as far as elemental weaknesses go, it's classed as water. Poison and earth are also classed as the same, and they are strong against lightning and weak to fire. Then there's also kind of like the neutral element, which is what my signature ability is, which is the chaos element. But you don't get access to any spells of that element until you finish the game at least once. There are other spells to unlock. I assume you have to keep finishing the game, but I don't know for sure. We have also seen a few examples of other complaints I have about the game, and just let me reiterate, I think Wizard of Legend is really, really good. It is incredibly competent for such a small team. It is very fun to play. It's got the best aspects of Dead Cells and Gungeon, I would say. But I do have some serious complaints, and they have been on show already. The major one is the dash has no iframes. Now there is a relic you can get which gives it iframes. I'm convinced it doesn't work. Unless they fixed it now. But even if it did, it should just be a given that the dash has some form of iframes. But you have no iframes at all. And that is a massive, massive mistake. I've had a couple of runs lose because an enemy cast a spell, say like I was just kind of going here. They cast a spell here, it knocks me backwards into the wall, other enemies flood in. You literally can't move. As in, if you press the keys, and I have evidence of this going up in a video soon. You can press the keys, you can press dash, you can't get out. You just die. And that's not okay. Even if it was half a second of invincibility frames, there should be something. Because not having any is unacceptable. It is the biggest flaw of the game by far. I'll get rid of them pretty easily with the ice daggers. Yeah, the no iframes when getting hit, the no iframes when you're dashing. And again, there's items that purport to solve this. But one, they don't seem to work, and two, they should be the default rather than the exception. So those are honestly the biggest problems getting in the way of keeping this as a long-term game. I sincerely hope they address that. They have been addressing it, like the last boss, without going into too many details for spoilers, had no pattern, unlike every other boss in the game. Which we'll see soon. I'm going to try and clear the floor though, because I missed a special room somewhere, all the way down there. They have, apparently, I don't know if it's been since I killed the last boss, but he is much more pattern-based now, so that you can kind of not second-guess what he's going to do, but have a general gist of his movements or the order in which spells happen, which is a massive improvement. Ah, you're still alive, I see. So our last special room will be down here, and it'll be the person who can sell you more spells. Bouncing Bubble, Teutonic Drill, Skills of Babylon, and then an enhanced version of the spell I'm using already. The enhanced version of this spell throws out a piercing dagger on the final strike. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, that's a slight benefit. So at the end of every floor, outside of the big bosses, you fight a randomly selected boss from a pool of, like, there's a rogue, a knight, a lance guy, and a mage. It'll be one of them. It's the rogue. He is the most annoying in my opinion. Oh, I said it again. I feel the need to keep on saying that because I hate when people say like, no, but actually it's this way. Well, no, I'm sharing an opinion. I'm not stating something as fact. It's a natural defense mechanism of the YouTuber. When the boss is glowing yellow, he is immune to being stunned, and the rogue constantly is in that state, which is the annoying part. It seems very hard to get the Chaos Element ult built up. We did kill him. After a boss, get some Chaos Gems, get some gold, get some heals, and every so often you can get a card or an item. We'll go down to the next floor. Floor 1-2. There's our floor summoner as well. That took me ages. A complete run of the game can take like half an hour to 40 minutes tops. If you're going at brisk speeds, you can do that much faster than that. Don't particularly like the setup of spells we have though. I don't think they synergize very well. The firewall I was expecting to be better than it is. Our best bet would be to find another ice/water spell, because then we'll do much more damage to the bosses once we get there. Nah, that just reminded me of another complaint. Some rooms, the enemies are already on the floor. Most rooms, they get summoned in. Like, the doors come down and you get locked in. And then they spawn with that, like, card effect that you saw earlier. I don't know why, like, sometimes it's different. That's their choice, obviously. My complaint, though, is that enemies will prepare an attack before you know they're there. Unless you've memorized literally every permutation of the rooms on a given floor. And that's not fair. It's just flat out not fair. The mage ones are the worst. Like, you could come down here and suddenly just see a line of fireballs that you literally can't dodge because there's no iframes on the dash that will hit you because the enemy started preparing the spell before you got there. And the game does a really clever thing where the deeper in a run you are, enemies evolve. So, like, we're doing this floor first. If we were doing the fire floor last, these enemies would all be doing much more difficult attacks. Like those, like, shadow zombies. They have this thing where they power up to blue and then speed at you. They just rush at you instantly. Or the rogue enemies teleport behind you, nothing personnel style. The enemies evolve and the bosses evolve as you get deeper. And that's really clever. But you need even faster reaction times the deeper you get as a result. Because they attack faster as well as move faster and have different attacks. And again, it's not fair, and it's especially not fair deeper in, that they'll prepare attacks before you can see them. Because there's nothing you can do. The no iframes thing is also especially annoying because if you are in the process of preparing a spell when you get hit, the spell goes on cooldown but does not cast. And that can sometimes just be a killer, especially with those shadow zombies because they just keep on slapping you if you're at point blank. And your inclination if you're getting attacked like that is cast a spell to knock them back or something like that. You just put all your spells on cooldown. So it's flawed concepts like that that stop this being truly amazing. But despite its faults, the good parts are good enough that it's still going to get a recommendation from me. I still highly suggest you play this if you're into your roguelikes and you like awesome combat. But just be prepared for the game to not be fair. And that might change. That's the wonderful thing. They seem to be making great quality of life changes very quickly based on feedback. So hell, by the time you see this, my complaints, or some of them, my complaints might be out of date. That's why it's always important to check out like up-to-date reviews and things like that after I do one of these videos. One, to get, you know, a breadth of opinions, get opinions from people who put in more time than me, and see if anything's changed. Sadly, the devs don't seem to do comprehensive patch notes. I've kind of had to guess what's changed every time there's been a patch. I was kind of hoping that would trigger them and they would have ran at me. I'm just going to wait on my cooldowns now. But I don't think the developers, again, there's two of them. I think they're doing everything by themselves. They are the publisher, they are the developer. They did use a third-party site to like give out keys to content creators. I don't think they're doing much in the way of promotion. So again, I don't think they know that side of the business. So that might also be why there's no comprehensive patch notes that I can see. They're certainly not in the latest news for the game on Steam, which is where I usually check for. Like, that's where Slay the Spire does their info, and in the game as well, that kind of thing. There's nothing like that. I should also mention, just for full transparency, because I forgot to mention since the start, I did put in a key request for the game, but I was so impatient to try it, and I hadn't heard back within like 12 hours. I was like, I'm just going to buy the game. So I did, and then they got back to me being like, yeah, we can offer you a key. I didn't accept it, but I feel for full transparency, I should point out that they were willing to give me one. I just didn't accept it because I ended up buying it myself. Speaking of price, it is £12.39 in British currency, which I've been saying a lot in these Let's Look At recently. Very, very precise cost, implying it's just a direct currency shift from whatever the base currency is. I think they might be from Korea, I don't quite remember. I did look into it. So it might just be a translated currency from that, or some other similar currency. I know I'm supposed to use them against the fight that's about to happen, but I don't like them, so I'm not gonna. These explosions often just hit me. So I think in general I've shared most of the thoughts I have for the game. As much as I have all these just little niggles of complaint that all kind of grow together to be genuine concerns, the game is still enjoyable. don't remember what the fountain pen does. I'll just take the heal, I guess. And let's fight the boss. I want to show off one of the proper bosses, because those are the fights that really stand out. So let's fight the floor boss here. I'm not going to do a whole run, incidentally. In the video will probably stop after we just fight the first main boss, the Fire Lady. Alright, I don't like the Knight. Again, he abuses his invincibility periods. Or not invincibility, because it can still be damaged. Just can't be stunned. But he goes into that phase a lot. It is pretty damaging though. The firewall is good against him because he's very kind of like, he just keeps on coming at you. Alright, we got him. So we're up to the fire boss. Didn't get any item drops, sadly. Is there anything else I can do with this? Can't afford anything there. We could maybe buy a spell. Nope. Can't quite afford a spell. That's unfortunate because I would have liked to add to my repertoire, but we have a water basic attack. So there is a trick to the big main bosses, and I'm not going to share it in this look at. I do share it in the series multiple times, though. But there's a trick to them. But I'll let you enjoy kind of like an over-the-top anime-esque fight against this Fire Lady. We shouldn't have much problem beating her. Famous last words. Now she's going to do her ultimate attack, so prepare yourselves. Right now. So as you can, like, the blue numbers indicate I'm doing less damage just because it's fire element. And we're doing yellow numbers with the ice attack because that's doing more damage to her. Got her. I fast forward their text because I don't want to see their stinking puns. So we did get a new spell. We got Lightning Aspect. Okay, so for the timer we generate electricity around ourselves. That would have been handy for the other build I like using. But that's one of 3 areas plus then the final boss. And that is how a Wizard of Legend run proceeds. Now we're in the Earth area, so lightning spells do worse. Fire spells should be better, I think. So let's test that real quick. Oh, well, we need to find an elemental enemy though. Oh wait, we found my old nemesis, the Pinata. Die, Pinata! I killed it. And he gave me a spell. Ward of Winds. Oh, what does this do? Haven't seen this. A ward of air that slows enemies and increases all air damage done in the area. Ah, so that works best with other air spell synergies. It's also enhanced. Ward area is increased and also increases fire damage. Oh, okay, so I do actually have a synergy. If I do that and then that, the firewall does more damage. In fact, let's just... I was going to end the video, but let's quickly go test that. See if we can discern, like, if it's doing a lot more damage. So we ward it, we firewall it. Yeah, that is doing more. So that's an Earth-themed enemy, and it appears that he is not weak to anything I have currently. Oh wait, no, he's weak to wind. Okay. So, the ward, and that's it. But yeah, that's how a run goes. If you want to see full runs, many full runs, I do have a series, but I do encourage you to try Wizard of Legend for yourself if you liked what you've seen here. Despite some problems, it's got a great combat system, it just needs a little bit of love and attention, a bit more attention paid, and it could be amazing. Check it out at the Steam store page below if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Ta-ta for now.